Freemasonry and modern Jewish sects. Between hidden rituals and grand myths, the most mysterious and secretive groups, a shadowy secret organization that stirs controversy, a complex network of symbols, a name that alone is enough to ignite all fears of conspiracies and plans said to control the world and redraw its course. Its roots extend deep into distant ages, where philosophical ideas intertwine with religious beliefs, and where its rituals are linked to the modern Jewish community. It is Freemasonry. Between truth and rumors lie secrets and hidden matters that we cannot fully know. So, is it truly the main force controlling all major events of the world? And is it really the case that heads of states submit to it, and that the powers of the world turn into puppets moved by that group? And what is the secret behind its relationship with the Jewish community? Does it represent a philosophical extension of specific Jewish sects? Or is the similarity in symbols merely a historical coincidence? If you want to know more details about this complex relationship, stay with us until the end. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you can receive all that's new. The roots of Freemasonry go back to the craft guilds that appeared in Europe during the Middle Ages, such as those that included builders and architects. These guilds were not merely professional gatherings. Rather, they were closed institutions with a symbolic and educational character. They transmitted craft secrets from one generation to another through specific rituals and sworn oaths that elevated the value of secrecy and discipline. Entry into these guilds took place through gradual stages, during which members learned the skills of construction, not only as practical craftsmanship, but as a symbolic system formulated through the language of symbols and tools, such as the compass and the square, which went beyond their professional use and later came to carry philosophical and spiritual meanings. With the decline of the traditional role of architects in Europe, these gatherings began to open up to new segments of society. As a result, they evolved from guilds of builders into intellectual and philosophical lodges, later known as symbolic Freemasonry or philosophical Freemasonry. Their role was no longer limited to the construction of stone walls. Instead, they claimed that they sought to build the human being according to principles they considered universal, such as freedom, equality, and fraternity. These principles, which they promote according to their illusory beliefs, formed the foundation through which they attempted to attract thinking minds, politicians, artists, and even some kings. One of the strangest and most striking aspects of the early symbolic Freemasonry is their use of the letter G, placed at the center of the symbol of the compass and square. This letter has remained a subject of controversy both inside and outside the lodges. Some see it as a reference to the word God, while others link it to geometry. A third group believes it symbolizes the Great Creation, or the Grand Architect of the universe. This variation in interpretations reflects the flexible and mysterious nature of Masonic doctrine, which deliberately leaves the doors of interpretation open without explicitly revealing any final truth, in a way that aligns with their illusory beliefs, which they market as universal philosophies. The internal structure of Freemasonry is characterized by a precise hierarchical system that begins with the rank of the initiate, to whom only a small portion of the teachings is revealed, followed by the fellow, who is granted broader knowledge, until reaching the expert or master, who is believed to have attained the highest levels of understanding and commitment. It is also believed that some lodges add additional secret degrees that go beyond this declared hierarchy, which introduces another layer of mystery and speculation regarding what is actually concealed within them. Masonic meetings are held in places known as lodges, which resemble closed chambers where non-members are prohibited from entering. These spaces are usually decorated with symbols and tools that represent the stages of construction and knowledge. The meetings are opened with fixed rituals that begin with the inspection of the symbolic tools of work and conclude with the performance of an oath of loyalty and secrecy, where the member is bound not to disclose any detail of what they see or hear inside the lodge, under the threat of moral and possibly symbolic punishments. One of the strangest Masonic rituals is that a new member is led blindfolded upon entering for the first time, as a symbol of stripping away ignorance and demonstrating readiness to transition toward the light of knowledge. Symbols are also used, such as the right angle to signify moral uprightness, and the all-seeing eye as a symbol of divine surveillance or cosmic awareness. These rituals, saturated with symbolism and secrecy, are considered among the most prominent reasons why Freemasonry has been a subject of suspicion and doubt throughout history. Critics argue that what the lodge conceals is far greater than what it declares, and that behind slogans like freedom and fraternity, there may lie undeclared political or ideological goals, a perception that has fueled conspiracy theories across the ages. Despite the public character that Freemasonry has attempted to establish in the modern era by promoting values such as tolerance, service to humanity, and cultural openness, that image did not withstand the flood of accusations that have pursued it for centuries. In the eyes of many, Freemasonry transformed from a fraternal association into a hidden network that operates from behind the scenes, managing the most complex political and economic conspiracies, and it is sometimes accused of standing behind major coups and pivotal revolutions in human history, such as the French Revolution and the American Revolution. One of the strangest accusations directed at Freemasonry lies in its undeclared relationship with religious sects, foremost among them Jewish sects. Both sides are said to share the use of cosmic symbols and mysterious secrets, which opened the door to theories that view Freemasonry as an instrument for implementing biblical visions, serving a broader project intended to be realized in stages through the reshaping of the global order. Although many researchers draw a clear distinction between Freemasonry and the monotheistic religions, the similarities in certain rituals and symbols, such as the six-pointed star and the all-seeing eye, have deepened these suspicions. Moreover, a large number of prominent figures around the world, politicians, thinkers, and artists, have embraced Freemasonry, a fact that has given it an elitist character and raised questions about the extent of its ability to penetrate centers of power and shape international policies from behind the scenes. With the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, Judaism entered a new phase of transformation, manifested in the tension between preserving traditional religious identity and opening up to the demands of modernity and the contemporary age. Three main sects emerged to shape the current Jewish religious landscape: Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform Judaism. Orthodox Judaism is considered the primary bearer of Talmudic heritage and the traditional interpretations of the Torah. It views Jewish law, whether written or oral, as divinely revealed and therefore not subject to modification or debate. Followers of this current are seen as heirs to an eternal divine covenant that includes a promise of the return of the awaited Messiah. This is a heavily charged religious figure who, according to some interpretations, is said to be the same as the Antichrist, which opens the door to controversial interpretations that go beyond the Jewish framework and extend into broader theological conflicts. Orthodoxy itself branches into two main currents. The first is the Haredim, who represent the most rigid model. They live in closed communities, reject manifestations of modernity such as television and the internet, and wear traditional clothing that visually distinguishes them. A large number of young men are also exempt from military service in Israel, as they consider the study of the Talmud to be a form of sacred jihad equivalent to defending the homeland. The second current is modern orthodoxy, which attempts to reconcile adherence to texts and rituals with openness to civil society and academic education yet it remains conservative in its intellectual and doctrinal structure. Among the notable phenomena that emerged within this current is the establishment of the kollel, a religious institute dedicated to married men for full-time Talmudic study, with salaries allocated to them, making it akin to a quasi-monastic institution at the heart of modern life. Interestingly, the kollel did not remain confined to Israel, but expanded to the United States, where Lakewood Kollel in New Jersey is considered one of the largest Orthodox Talmudic centers in the world, hosting thousands of students who live in a state of near-complete religious isolation, a scene reminiscent of the Middle Ages, yet unfolding within a modern world teeming with technology and rapid change. On the opposite side of orthodoxy stands Reform Judaism, which emerged in Germany and later flourished in the United States as a movement calling for liberation from the constraints of texts and law. It holds that Jewish law is not a binding divine revelation, but rather cultural traditions that can be modified or transcended according to the development of humanity and society. In this sense, Reform Judaism rejects the idea that ancient rituals and ethnic distinction are conditions for Jewish survival. Instead, it calls for full integration into the societies in which Jews live, considering that religious identity should be reconciled with modern liberal values. The most prominent features of Reform Judaism are reflected in its radical stances on issues that were once considered taboos in traditional Jewish thought, such as the full acceptance of same-sex marriage and the ordination of women as rabbis, and sometimes even appointing women who are of non-Jewish origins. This also includes the reformulation of religious rituals to align with Western cultural sensitivities. Some Reform synagogues do not have gender partitions, nor do they require men to wear the kippah, head covering. They also incorporate Western music and hymns into their prayers, reflecting a major transformation in the structure of worship and ritual. This movement has been embraced by many American Jews, particularly among intellectual and academic elites, which has made it one of the most politically and culturally influential currents in the United States. It has come to represent a liberal face of Judaism that engages strongly with issues such as human rights, women's freedom, equality, and social justice, while being accused by Orthodox circles of abandoning the essence of religion and emptying it of its deep spiritual and ritual content. The apparent similarity between Freemasonry and certain Jewish sects, particularly Reform Judaism, has sparked widespread controversy that has extended for decades. The symbols used by Freemasons, such as the six-pointed star, the all-seeing eye, and the symbolism of the temple, cannot be overlooked in terms of their correspondence, or at least their noticeable resemblance, to Jewish religious symbols. This, in turn, has fueled numerous theories suggesting that Freemasonry is not merely an independent philosophical organization, but may represent an extension of certain Jewish religious currents that sought to express their ideas through non-traditional means and in ways more open to the world. Among the most frequently cited sects in this context is Reform Judaism, which was among the earliest movements to call for separating religion from nationalism and for transitioning from ritualistic Judaism to a rational spirituality that keeps pace with modernity. This sect adopted principles similar to the Masonic approach with regard to transcending national and religious affiliations and promoting human brotherhood, tolerance, and coexistence, values that are repeatedly echoed in Masonic Lodge literature, according to their illusory beliefs and the claims they seek to promote. One of the striking peculiarities in this context is that some Reform Jewish figures did in fact join Masonic lodges in Europe and America and were active within them. Some even rose to high-ranking positions inside these lodges. Certain observers viewed this as a form of undeclared symbolic alliance, or more precisely, an intersection of interests, particularly with regard to a shared desire to dismantle traditional structures of authority, whether religious or political, and to reshape the world according to a universal human model. Even more surprising, however, is the fact that Freemasonry, despite its secular slogans, maintains rituals that surround the Temple of Solomon, with a distinct spiritual aura, as if it were reviving a Jewish religious symbol at the heart of a philosophy that claims to be universally human. This contradiction has provoked criticism and raised questions about the extent of its religious neutrality. Despite all these symbols and intersections, research has not proven the existence of a direct relationship or an organized alliance between Freemasonry and Reform Judaism or any other Jewish sect. Rather, it appears to be merely a network of intersecting concepts and symbols, interpreted according to their controversial beliefs. The stance of the heavenly religions toward Freemasonry has been marked by severity and outright rejection, due to what they perceive as a threat to religious doctrines and values. In Islam, numerous fatwas have been issued prohibiting joining Freemasonry, considering it an organization that carries mysterious and secret rituals that contradict the teachings of the religion. It is even viewed as posing a danger to the unity and integrity of Islamic belief, since these rituals include practices that are incompatible with monotheism and Islamic teachings, in addition to the excessive secrecy that raises suspicions about its true objectives. In Christianity, the position was clear and decisive on the part of the Catholic Church, which categorically prohibited Freemasonry, regarding it as an organization that contradicts Christian teachings and leads its members to pledge loyalty to secret organizations instead of loyalty to the Church. By contrast, Protestant denominations witnessed clear divisions. While some rejected Freemasonry and issued warning statements, other denominations showed a degree of tolerance or even support, which made the Christian stance toward this organization less unified than it is in Islam and Catholicism. Freemasonry entered the Arab world during the 19th century, at a time that witnessed a relative openness to the West, particularly in Egypt and the Levant. During that period, Masonic lodges were extremely secretive and included members from the intellectual and aristocratic elites who saw in this organization an opportunity to connect with modern ideas and Western cultures. However, the activity of these lodges did not last long, as it was soon met with strong popular and religious rejection, being regarded as a threat to the cultural and religious identity of Arab societies. Freemasonry was also classified as a tool of foreign dominance and influence, especially in light of accusations that it sought to infiltrate cultural and political institutions and to spread ideas alien to Arab and Islamic heritage. As a result, most Arab states resorted to officially banning its activities and imposing strict restrictions on its members, which rendered the presence of Freemasonry in the region extremely limited and shrouded in secrecy. Despite the great controversy surrounding Freemasonry, its history is rich with prominent figures who played important roles in shaping modern world history. Among these figures stands George Washington, the first President of the United States of America, who was a member of Masonic lodges, granting Freemasonry a significant historical and political dimension in the founding of one of the most powerful states in the world. Likewise, Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States, was a prominent Masonic member who actively contributed to drafting the Constitution of the new state, benefiting from the values and principles that Freemasonry claims to uphold. Across the Atlantic, the name Simón Bolívar, known as the Liberator of South America, also emerged as one of Freemasonry's members. This affiliation added further mystery to the role of Freemasonry in national liberation movements during the 19th century, as the association of these leaders with Freemasonry sparked numerous speculations about the extent of this organization's influence in shaping the modern world order and its relationship with major political and economic powers. This aspect is considered one of the most question-provoking elements in the history of Freemasonry. On one hand, it is an organization that adopts absolute secrecy, and on the other, it includes public figures with wide influence in politics, thought, and art, a combination that adds an aura of mystery and controversy surrounding its true objectives, in line with the beliefs and claims they seek to implant in the minds of followers and societies. In conclusion, we find that Freemasonry and modern Jewish sects intersect in many symbols and traditions, raising questions about the dimensions of this enigmatic convergence. Despite the differing contexts and objectives, the world of Freemasonry remains surrounded by secrets and suspicions, while Jewish sects experience an internal struggle between preserving heritage and opening up to modernity. Here we reach the end of today's video. Don't miss the opportunity to follow more content by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification bell so you can receive all that's new.